Aloha and good morning. Welcome to today's ANA webinar, Indigenous Marketing and Production of Native Goods. Today is Thursday, September 29th, 2016. This webinar is presented as a resource of the Administration for Native Americans. So a little bit about ANA. The Administration for Native Americans promotes self-sufficiency for Native Americans by providing discretionary grant funding for community-based projects and training and technical assistance to eligible tribes and Native organizations. And this includes all tribal communities across the continental U.S., Alaska Natives, and Native Pacific Islanders across the Pacific. And ANA's vision is for all Native communities to be thriving, and so they'll be working ever vigilantly towards that vision. And you can learn more about ANA on their website, which is listed there on screen. That's www.acf.hhs.gov/programs/ANA. Today's webinar is being presented by the Pacific Region TTA Center. We are a resource of ANA for Native communities here in the Pacific. We offer training and technical assistance to help Native communities develop projects that can, help their communities. Similar regional TTA centers exist across the U.S., including the Alaska region, the Western region, and the Eastern region. And if you'd like to learn more about us at the Pacific region, you can visit our website, www.anapacificbasin.org. My name is Matthew Ng. I'm going to be moderating today's webinar. That's me there on the right-hand corner of that photo, along with the three other staffers who work here at the Pacific region. And I'm the Outreach and Technology Specialist here at the Pacific TTA Center. So today's webinar is, focused on the production and marketing of Native goods. And, a lot of our Native communities, we have these Native resources. We have these resources available to us. We have crafts that have been passed down through generations, and this does a lot for our ability to, determine our own futures, to exercise our, Native rights and sovereignty. And a lot of times, we, a lot of our organizations struggle with moving from grant to grant, but by creating Native-owned enterprises and new streams of revenue, we can actually help to support ourselves in a sustainable and responsible way. And we're really lucky today to be able to highlight two successful ANA Seeds grantees who are doing just that. They've found success in business development using their Native resources and goods and leveraging the innovation of their people to empower their communities with economic development. So, we're going to explore strategies for utilizing existing resources to generate revenue for one's Native communities. We're also going to be exploring strategies for successfully marketing products in and outside of one's Native community. And we're going to do this by learning directly from successful ANA Seeds grantees. And so both of these projects were supported by ANA's Seeds funding opportunity. Most of the work is being done by these communities. They're really the ones who are driving the innovation in their community. And, it's really a testament to their focus and their own drive that's created the success that they've seen. But they both received ANA Seeds grants, which helped them to capitalize some of their efforts, and you'll learn more about that shortly. But just a little background on ANA's Sustainable Employment and Economic Development Strategies grant. ANA offers this funding opportunity as part of its annual funding opportunities. It has 4 priority areas. The first is the creation of sustainable employment opportunities. The second is professional training and skill development to increase participants' employability and earning potential. The third is to create and develop small businesses and entrepreneurial activities. And the fourth is these projects should demonstrate strategies for and a commitment to keeping jobs and revenue generated by the project within the Native community. And so you'll see that the two projects that we're highlighting today have different business models, but do include all of these priorities in their projects. And you can learn more about the SEEDS program on ANA's website on the programs section. Currently, ANA is not accepting applications for this funding opportunity, but they will likely be publishing the new funding opportunity announcement for SEEDS in either December or January, sometime around then. So, you can check ANA's website to see when that will be. Otherwise, sign up for the newsletter at your region's TTA center. And so we're going to start today's session by highlighting one of our guest presenters. Miss Marie Harnois is the manager for the Passamaquoddy tribe's maple venture called Passamaquoddy Maple. She's been the manager for the last 3 years. Before that, she was the executive director for the Indian Township Passamaquoddy's Housing Authority for 7 years until she left to start Passamaquoddy Maple with the assistance of an ANA Seeds grant. In the past, she's also held appointed and elected positions, including the Indian Township School Board, Native American Indian Housing Council, the Indian Township Housing Commissioner, the Ford Direction Board of Directors, and the Ford Direction Loan Committee member. And her background is in business management and accounting. And we are really excited to have Ms. Harnois here to share her experience and success with the tribally owned venture Passamaquoddy Maple. So without further ado, I'd like to pass it off to Ms. Harnois to talk about the Maple project.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. This here is Passamaquoddy Maple. We started with a seeds grant. Our grant was originally awarded in October of 2013, and from there we were able to start planning on developing how we were going to approach the maple syrup industry. The history of maple syrup with our people go way back. We have been making maple syrup in smaller quantities, and with the help of the seeds grant, we were able to actually start realizing the full potential of what our lands offered. We started off with 38 acres of a sugar bush in the northern mountains of Maine. We are currently located in Jackman, which is about a 4.5-hour drive from our home reservation. And all the land that you see here is tribally owned. So the sugar bushes belong entirely to us. So with the help of the ANA, we were able to establish this sugar bush and be 100% owner and operator. This was the first section. This here, we have collaborated with our forestry department. They actually went in and cleared the area so that all we needed to do was go in and be trained on how to run all our lines. Because we have gone with a technique that is modern, we needed to be trained. In the past, if anyone knows a little bit about maple syrup, you know that there's buckets hanging off trees. We are totally modernized. So we had to be trained with a full spectrum of everything that happens. By doing what we've done, we have created the ultimate vacuum system so that we can really capitalize on a short season of when the sap is produced. Everything that you see in all my pictures here, you're going to realize everything is done by hand. There's no machineries that goes out. So I was able to take a group of young tribal members. We contracted out with a professional line installer, and with one condition. He wasn't just going to install lines for a week, he was actually going to come in and train us to install our own lines. So we worked with this guy for probably about 10 days, and from then on in, we've been on our own. We've had opportunities to go and work in other sugar bushes to help lay out their lines. So we really, picked up on it. We took what we learned and we ran with it. And here's a picture of Larry. As you can see, it's a lot of hand tools. One of the things that we discovered about being located where we are in northern Maine in the mountains, we get a lot of snow. So thankfully we enjoy being outside, but we do run into some really tough working conditions. This was our first tapping season. One of the things that we also needed to learn was proper tapping techniques. We are organically certified by MOFGA, and part of what we have to do is follow their strict guidelines. For us, it wasn't anything different than what we knew we personally wanted to do, but we do get more exposure by being organically certified. And we also had to be trained on the proper techniques of tapping and the regulations that go with this. So this was our very first year tapping all these trees. The first year we tapped about 4,000. Now, as I explained, thanks to the A&A and the Seeds grant, we were able to get some of the more modern equipment. The top picture here is our reverse osmosis. By using reverse osmosis, it takes down our cooking time of turning our sap into syrup. We will remove about 50% of the water that comes from our sap. So when we send it to our evaporator, we can roll out 50 gallons in about an hour. If we didn't use the reverse osmosis, it would take almost 4 hours to do the exact same process. And there again, we're working with some large pieces of equipment that we all needed to be trained on as well. Our evaporator is one of the state-of-the-arts. It really was interesting when we were all learning how to use it. Everyone here that you see pictured has a very specific job, but one of the things we've all learned is to cross-train. Cooking, we never know when we're going to cook or when we're going to be done. So it's really important to be able to have that mixture. If you're cooking for 8 straight hours, you're going to need a break, and you may be cooking longer than that, depending on the weather. So we did a lot of cross-training. And this picture on the right of the smokestacks was our very first boil. And as it says, we finished cooking at 11 p.m. that night. We rolled out 6 barrels, which was close to 300 gallons of syrup. So using the more modern technology, we're really able to maximize the production of our fields. Now the end of this is every tap that we place needs to be removed. So we've placed some pictures of the guys removing the taps. This year we placed 11,000 taps, and it took us 3 weeks to remove them all. We also have some of the more modern bottling equipment. We are considered a small bottler at this time. We're hoping to be able to expand more. But this right here, everything we've cooked last year for our syrup, we didn't wholesale 1 barrel. We held on to it, and we're putting it into bottles. This is where all this takes place. We are state inspected. We are also organically inspected for our organic certification. So all our syrup is labeled organic. We use a variety of different bottles. We're so new at this that we've found bottles we liked, and we've discovered not everybody else likes them. So we offer a wide variety just to see what people are more interested in. A lot of this right now is just seeing how the public reacts. So we may have a bottle one week, and the following week, if we sell out, or if it doesn't sell very well, we may not order any more of them. But it's a lot of trial and error on the design of our bottles. This here is, I think, for a lot of us that have worked this project from the very beginning, is one of the proudest moments. These are our very first bottles. They are actually on display in our office. They're not for sale. It was everything, all the trials and errors that we did when we were finally finished and we produced these and took these out. It was like, yes, we finally did it. We figured it out. We do a double filtration system, so our syrup is super clean and super clear. We do all our own grading and all our own testing on all our syrup, so that everything is done in-house. It also keeps people working, our own people working. We're 100% tribally operated. We have also started moving off into other products. We do most of our sales right now is in maple syrup, but we are moving into the maple sugar, the maple candies, hard and soft. Because where we're located and moose are a very important animal to us, we've kind of used a lot of the moose stuff on a lot of the things we do. So, of course, our candies had to be moose shaped. And also, by turning syrup into other products, we actually maximize the cost, the value of our syrup. When we turn syrup into candy, for a cup of syrup that may have gotten us $10 in the bottle, we're getting $30 for the same amount when we turn it into a candy. The value of the candy is so much higher. This was our first attempt at, our first endeavor as getting our product out there. Our Chief Nicholas actually paid for Passport 40 Maple to go to the Res Conference, highlight what we were working on. And we had a really great show, and we got a lot of orders from it. A former chief, Soccer Basin, actually went and represented Passport 40 Maple because during that time is our busiest. So somebody from the actual program wasn't able to attend. Right now, a lot of our marketing is done locally and by fairs. We travel almost anywhere that we're invited to, set up a booth, highlight our product. We do taste samples. One of the biggest things that we have done at any of the fairs we go to is we do the taste sample. We offer an amber, a dark, and a very dark. Most sugar houses will not offer their darker syrups. We found a market for it. And by letting people that have never really tasted the darker ones try it, that's what they're buying. It's not, it's just there's a different flavor going on, and if you've never tried it, it's definitely worth something, an experience to have. So we do a lot of local merchandising this way. We are also getting ready to launch our website, and we have hit social media a lot with our products, and we do get a lot of orders from our social media sites. And as I was explaining, that one of our biggest sellers and our biggest marketing piece is the 3 colors that we offer. And here's a comparison going from our lightest to our darkest. There is one darker after this, and it's called a commercial grade. But because it's not anything that we were looking at producing, it's not worth a lot of money to us, we actually pull our taps during that season and let the trees have that sap. So we're kind of giving back to the trees a little bit by taking care of them a little bit better. But I think one of the greatest things about starting Passport 40 Maple is to know that we're utilizing a resource that we already had. We're maximizing the value that's coming out of there. Before we started the syrup industry, before we got into the syrup industry, we were doing a lot more logging in these areas. And thankfully, these areas that were set aside for the maple stand now were never touched. So we have an area that has prime maple, and to see these trees and to see what's coming out of them and to know that it's all of us doing this and working together as a team and to create a product, a sustainable product, has been, I think, the highlight for me personally. But I also know for the crew that works with us, they have also learned a valuable trade. We do have some downtime, and my crew has actually gone to other sugar houses to help them out. So they've learned a marketable trade, and a few of them have actually talked about the possibility of starting their own sugar house. Most of the people that came here, like I said, were the younger ones or in their 20s, and to hear some of them talking about the possibility of running their own sugar house, I think has been, I don't know, you feel like you just made it. You did something right. Like I said, you can like us on Facebook. You can view our project. The best thing about ANA is we were able to make mistakes. We were able to learn from our mistakes without breaking a business. So, and you can see a lot of things funny things that happen to us on the Facebook page.
All right, thank you very much, Marie. That was a really inspiring presentation. Like I've tried that maple and that like the medium dark stuff, and it's really good. If you've had maple syrup from the store or something, it a lot of that stuff is just colored high fructose corn syrup, and what she's offering is much better. So that was an example of 100% tribally owned venture, and they're using their tribe's natural resources to manage that whole supply chain from production to marketing and sales, and doing it in a way that really honors traditional practices and culture. What we're about to hear now is another example that's using their native people and innovation in a slightly different way, but with the same level of success and economic development. And so I'd like to now introduce Mr. Clifford Guzman, who's the executive director of the Guam Unique Merchandise and Art um, organization, also called GUMA. As the executive director for GUMA, Cliff oversees and directs the program's policies and operations. His background is in strategic planning and program management for a variety of public and private programs and projects, with a focus on developing communication strategies, brand development, and target market messaging. He has an extensive background in engineering and planning and has served in various positions in the government of Guam, to include Chief of Staff for the Governor and Director of the Department of Administration and the Bureau of Planning. He's also served on a number of private nonprofit organizations, including the Guam Symphony Society and Sanctuary, a Guam-based home for at-risk youth. At this time, I'd like to pass it off to Mr. Guzman to talk more about the success that they've had at GUMA. Cliff?
Well, Hafa Day and good morning from Guam. It's about 5:15 or 5:30 in the morning, and it's great to be here. I'm really honored to be able to share our GUMA program with all of you today. GUMA in our language means house or home or a place of learning and growing. Guam has approximately 170,000 residents, and our indigenous Chamorros make up about 37% of that population. And we average about 12 to 15% unemployment among our people. While we have a strong tourism-based economy, nearly 95% of all of our tourist-related retail gifts from Guam are made in China, Vietnam, or the Philippines. So in 2012, we performed a series of informal surveys to find out why. What we found was that while our cultural producers had tremendous creativity, they couldn't break into the tourism markets because retailers could not depend on them to produce marketable products or regular inventory. This was primarily because our indigenous artisans lacked the technical knowledge and business acumen and support required to transform their crafts into self-sustaining small businesses. So that year, we began meeting with our artisan community and local retailers identifying both their needs, and created the concept for the Guam Unique Merchandise and Arts Program. We pitched our Guma concept to Guam's largest luxury goods retailer, inviting them to partner with us as part of their community outreach. And thankfully, they agreed. So over the next year, together we developed a pilot program, and in 2013 we applied for and were awarded a seeds grant from the ANA, and we officially launched Guma. Now, our vision statement, which I think everyone likes to start with, and we should, was to mentor and support aspiring local artists, culture producers, and entrepreneurs, transforming their creativity, their skills, and innovative spirit into self-sustainable marketable products that are of the highest quality and that are uniquely Guam. Our program, on overview, what we do is we provide new and innovative ways to deliver these Guam-centric products and kind of bridge the gap between our artisans and the retail environment. We assist our entrepreneurs to become self-sustaining small businesses, and we give them access to mentoring, training, tools, and support. And we've got a variety of resources we tap on, and we're going to go through that in just a little bit here. Now, who's eligible for the program? Again, Indigenous artists and cultural entrepreneurs. We're looking for people who have these great concepts, these aha type of concepts, high potential. Or maybe somebody who's got an existing product and they just need the support in trying to figure out how to take that business, turn it into a business and move it forward. And then finally, we look for people with existing products that maybe they don't have any access at all to the retail market and don't even know how to get it to the retail market. So there are 4 primary steps that we developed in pulling this together. And the first one was to identify, of course, the products and participants. We did this by going out to craft fairs and talking with some of the artisans. And what we looked for in the products was viability and innovation. How did they transform cultural, traditional type products? What did they do with them? Where did they take them? Everybody can weave a coconut hat, but who's taking that further to make it a marketable good? And we look for that creativity and drive to succeed in the participants. And also, would they be committed to the process once we started with them? Our second step is a training and mentoring program. And we developed a 16-week program for training and mentoring, and with the intent that they would come out of this program with viable business plans that they could take to any bank or venture capitalist or loan institution and be able to succeed. And they also came out with a certificate of graduation from our program, and that gave some authenticity to the program overall. And then our third step is once they graduate from our training and mentoring program, they can either choose to go ahead off on their own and start their businesses with whatever resources they have, or they could apply for the incubator program. And in the incubator program, we provide them with one-on-one product development support and assistance, marketing and mentoring, everything from packaging to retailing, sourcing all of their business startup needs and providing them support there. All of these 3 steps are designed to take them into a successful self-sustaining business. And our requirements is they have to have a minimum of 2 Indigenous employees, and we provide them ongoing support for the next 3 years. That's just to make sure that their businesses they're doing what they're supposed to do, what their business plan said, and help them where they need the help to keep them successful. Now, let's talk a little bit about in more detail about our training and mentoring program. Pictures you see on your screen now, that's our Congresswoman. She's a regular visit to our Guma store, and she buys these products and hands them out as gifts to Washington, D.C. to kind of help bring up Guam's visibility out there. And what you see in the picture below is our Guma store, and excited to share that with you in just a minute. So our training and mentoring program really has to be flexible. That's what we found when we put together the pilot program. We provide merchandising experts, retailing experts, legal experts, We try to give them as much mentoring support as we can. We leverage locally existing training programs such as the Small Business Development Center at the University of Guam, the Guam Community College. And again, once the businesses graduate, they can start their own self-sustaining business, or they could apply for the GUMA Incubator Program support. This is our first graduating class in 2013. Really proud of them. They've really gone a long way, and it's just exciting. GUMA Training and Mentoring Program, our whole concept there is to give them the business basics from concept to operations, from that very seed of an idea in their head all the way through to how they can develop a real business out of it. And the product development chain is really important. They have to understand what that means, how they get resources, what do they do with the resources, how they replace their inventories, and how do they connect with the retail market. And that, of course, includes branding and marketing, distribution, chain management, market testing. We hold 2 market testing fairs a year, one for the local population and then one for the tourist market. And that's kind of exciting. In the tourist market, we send out 5,000 flyers to visitors in their hotel rooms and invite them down to come down and survey the products. And we put all of our indigenous products right in the middle of Prada and Gucci and all of these other high brand luxury items. And it's really great. It inspires our producers, and it also puts us right on par with these high luxury goods. And so the tourists come out, they fill out a survey form in their language, and we ask them to take a look at the product and tell us what they would like to do. What's their demographics? How much would they pay for a product like this? Do they like the product? What do they like about it? What don't they like about a product? And it's really valuable information for our participants. And then, of course, trademarks and copyrights is a big thing, for intellectual property rights. Our mentoring and training program is, again, 16 weeks. The first 4 weeks, we work with our participants to kind of walk them through what it means to have a business and develop their passion for profit, because that's got to move them so that they can be self-sustaining. And usually about after 4 weeks, we might have 1 or 2 that'll drop out because it's just not for them. But generally, a majority of our participants continue on. And so then we go into the next step, which is 12 weeks of Saturdays. Each Saturday for 3 hours, they sit in a classroom training environment. We partner up again with the SBDC at UOG, and we walk them through everything from how to work a spreadsheet all the way through to what it takes to get out there and market your product. Again, they graduate with that viable business plan and a certificate of completion. And again, one of the hardest things of working with our artists and cultural producers, of course, is that they just want to produce their artwork or their product. They're not interested in spreadsheets. They're not interested in trying to learn the business side of it. They just want to produce and they want to create. And that's what we want them to do. So what we do is invite them to ask business partners or family members or friends, close friends that they trust. They can come in and represent the artist during this whole learning process, because they're going to help that artist in the things that the artist is not as good at, and help them succeed and transform those products into something that can be sustainable. This is our second graduating class here. Very proud of them as well. And it's just exciting to see this program going, and ANA has been a tremendous help for us. A little bit about our incubator program. As I was saying, once they graduate from the training and mentoring program, they're welcome to come and apply for the incubator program. They have to have a completed business plan, of course, which they do. However, it's up to them once they graduate out of our training and mentoring program to tweak it again. And we expect that they will keep working with it. And so sometimes when they come in and apply, they might have slight changes in their business plan. And then we go through them and vet them out to make sure that their product is viable from a business perspective and is financeable. And And then we have them come into our Shark Tank. And at our Shark Tank, we have experts in retailing and merchandising, legal experts, CPA, and business development experts. And we sit around a table and we ask the proposed participant to come in, and they do product markups, and they have to sell us on the product. And they have to tell us why the product's so great, so that we can get an idea from them how much they believe in themselves and their products. And so that gives us a great opportunity to get some insight into the participant. And it's nerve-wracking for the participant, but I think it's very necessary. And so they go through these product mock-ups and samples and presentations, and then we score them. We score them on product or concept viability, their business plan completeness, and their presentation skills. Now, in this presentation, they also present to us what their needs are. So they might come up and say, oh, I need a copier, I need a stitcher, I need this, that, or the other, I need inventory. And so they propose to us what they need, and they give us a price, that we can take a look at, and we look at how it blends into their business plan. And then we decide from there whether or not it fits into what their business plan's doing, and if it makes sense for what they want to do to produce their product. And so we deliberate about that, and then after the presentation, and then as a group, our Shark Tank team decides what we're going to provide them and what would be best for their business. So what we do then, once they're into the incubator program, is we give them the startup assistance. Again, that product development chain is extremely important. They need to understand the process. Again, one-to-one branding and marketing consultation. In some cases, we send their products up to Hong Kong and to Louis Vuitton, who owns DFS, who is our partner. Their merchandisers and retailers are some of the best in the world, and so they take a look at these products and they tell us if the price points are correct, if the packaging needs some help, is the product something that's durable, does it make sense? And then we take that valuable information back and we work with the participant. We also provide them legal and operations assistance. That's everything from going out and helping them get a business license to helping them with the legal assistance and how to put together a contract with a retailer. We also give them startup materials, equipment, or supplies. We do not give them checks. They are, after all, artists, and they'll kind of go off into a tangent. So what we do is we look at their product needs, and we source out the products for them, whether it's inventory or equipment, and we purchase it on their behalf. And then we have a contract with them, and we give them that materials, equipment, or supply to utilize and to start up their businesses until they can get rolling, where they start replacing inventory and equipment on their own. Again, we also help them with trademarks and copyrights. We're so close to Japan, Vietnam, and the Philippines that anything can be bought here, taken back, and copied, unfortunately, at a far less price than what it costs to produce here. So we're always very careful about that. And then we provide them that monitoring and support for 3 years after startup. And that's where we might see that a product is not selling as well, so we might go in there and work with them to try to bring up the visibility of that product to the consumer, and help them along for the next 3 years. And we require them to give us quarterly reports. So our program highlights, again, we're very excited about this. So far, since we started in 2013 with the ANA Seeds Grant, we were able to graduate 47 artists, Indigenous artists and cultural producers from our training and mentoring program. Many of them are off on their own already. And 7 of those small businesses joined our incubator program in 2015. We have incubated them. They are doing alive and well. They're doing fabulous with their products. And we're very excited for them. As a matter of fact, some of them are already on the retail shelves in our tourism retailers. and some of them are expanding into other islands in the Marianas, and so that's really exciting. And this year, October 1st, we're going to be launching five new small incubated businesses. And we try to make sure that we don't incubate businesses that are going to compete with each other. Rather, we try to incubate businesses that are going to support each other. So if one person bought an etching machine or something for their business, another business in our incubator group might need that etching machine. So we try to marry and partner the two so that they can help each other along. We opened up our Guma Gallery in our Chamorro village, which is a little entrepreneurial village that the government set up. 417 square feet. There's a couple of pictures of the exterior and the interior. Very proud of this. It's been a wonderful place. Everybody comes down there. People going off island buy gifts for their friends and relatives. Tourists come through there, and it's very exciting. And the most exciting thing is that Guam is opening up a state-of-the-art museum next month, and we are expanding our Guma store into the Guam Museum. And all of the products you see in there are all on consignment. And we take them on a consignment basis as kind of a market testing and a startup sales retail floor for our participants. And it really works because it's inexpensive for the participant, and it still fits our needs for sustainability as a program. And we're just so excited to be able to share this with you, and we're so excited and so proud to be a part of the ANA family. So, Sizus Masi, as we say in our language, thank you very much. And we'll be open to any questions or comments when that time comes. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Cliff. Yeah, as you can see, they found a lot of success. A very different business model than Passamaquoddy. In this case, this is a holistic training pipeline. They have, that incubator function complete with consulting on all different aspects of business. And then they're also cultivating a strong marketplace for these products at the downstream end of that chain. And so they're doing that by leveraging their unique external environment, which has to do with both the local economy and the tourist economy, and partnering with other businesses to increase the value of their native products in the marketplace, and really empowering Native Chamorro people by leveraging their own crafts and innovations, and then just supporting those efforts. And so, two examples of success, very different models, and we're very proud and excited to be able to highlight both of their stories on today's webinar. As you can see, they both, really thought about their strategies and have presented some ideas that I think a lot of us could apply to our own Native communities. So at this time, we're going to open up the room to questions. If you have any questions, please type them into the chat box on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. I see a few questions have already come in, and I'll be reading those in a second. Questions will be answered in the order they were received. I'll read your question to the presenters, and if you have any follow-up questions, just type them into the chat box immediately, or as I'm asking that question. So the first question comes from Shafton. Shafton, I think this question is directed at the Passamaquoddy Maple Project, so for Marie. Out of the 5 project years for seeds, how many years did you spend on the experimenting part of the process, and how long until
We actually received a 3-year grant, and we are already on the shelf. We are in local grocery stores. We are working with a larger grocery chain for New England. So in the 3 years, we were able to do what we needed to do and get it out there. We really pushed hard for it. A lot of long hours, but it's already on the shelf.
So if I could just ask a quick follow-up question. So, you how long did it take for you to make your first sale? I think maybe that could be a related question.
Um, our first sales actually were our first year. Our first year we did nothing but wholesale, which meant everything that went into the barrel went out the door to a wholesaler that buys them bulk prices. Our second year we held on to a few of our barrels because we knew before the season started that we were going to be bottling some. So we actually started bottling this year in January. And after this season, our season, all the work you see out in the field falls down into 6 weeks time frame. We have 6 weeks to make our money for the year, and we held on to every barrel that we produced this year to go into our bottling. So we've already bottled probably a quarter of our stock, of our inventory, and we're gearing up for the holiday sales.
Awesome, that's really smart. Um, yeah, I mean, starting with wholesale, then going into your own products, bottling your own, and even going into the value-added products. It's a really smart way of doing that. The next question comes from Shafton again, this time directed at Cliff for Guma. So, what was the incentive for the 16-week program? How did you incentivize?
Well, I think that there was already a need and a want for our crafters and our artisans to get into the retail tourism retail market. A lot of these folks they work out of their home, and they love their product, and taking them out to crafts fairs, they recognized that there was a call out for natural products, the traditional products, and so it was fairly easy because we went out and reached out to the crafters themselves. We didn't just put an ad in the paper and say, "Hey, come on in." We went out to craft fairs, hunting them out, talking to them about the concept, and trying to get them going. Once we got the first group going, we've got applicants for our January, our next training program already standing in line, because again, there's a hunger out there to try to get into the program, and they're recognizing the success. So it's really important to put it out there, to have people alongside of you that the crafters and the native traditional crafters trust, and it takes some marketing. You got to market it. And so the incentive really is for them to succeed and to be able to enjoy their craft or their product and be able to make money and support it. It's really about family in the end, and creating that family feel. And we've got a small island here, so it's easy, but that's so important to create a whole family approach to this and build that family trust.
Thank you, Cliff. And I have one more question for you. This time coming from Betty, and I know you talked about the new retail locations that you're opening up in the museum and whatnot. But Betty's question is, how will you sustain Guma after the seeds funding? I think in particular, that core Guma function that supports the craftspeople.
Well, since we started the program, sustainability has always been one of our big things, and of course that's something that ANA looks at out of these seed programs. And so again, partnering with companies or corporations that want to give back to the local community is really important. And so we partnered up with one of the largest retailers here, and so they've been very supportive. They have been putting money into the program, and what we've been doing is just utilizing those funds for the things that maybe ANA grant can't provide. But more importantly, what we do is we're salting away that. So we're really proud to say that we already have our first year after the seeds program covered. We can sustain ourselves, and we're now bringing on, because of the publicity that we've received from this and the uniqueness of the program, we've been able to take that and market that to other corporations and the government of Guam, and we've received grants from them, and we're pursuing all these different avenues to sustain the program. Now, all the products, we do consignment on the products, so that's more just to take care of the overhead of maintaining the store and the employees that are in there. And so that's kind of the way we look at that. And it's a small consignment fee of around 15%. But we move enough product that we're able to do that and support our operational needs for the stores.
All right, thanks so much for that, Cliff. The next question comes from Dan with the Western region, and he has a few questions related to the marketing side of the operations. He's acknowledging that Native Ventures do pretty well with production, but a lot of the trouble happens on the marketing side. um, and let's see, maybe we can focus on the break-even aspect of the business, and maybe if you could talk about when you hit break even, and so for Passamaquoddy that would be for the tribe, and for Guma that would be for the small businesses. So maybe how you hit break even, when, and if you could discuss some of the challenges that it took to get there. And this time we'll start with Marie on the Passamaquoddy tribe, and then after Marie answers, then you can talk about your Marie.
Yes, hi. Break even. We, if we wholesaled everything, we would break even. But one of our, I think the hardest thing for a lot of people, and even in my tribe to understand, is we are making our money $6 at a time for every bottle that goes out. I have an average cost of $6, even though we offer other things. So we haven't quite hit the break-even section. If we wholesaled it, would be there. But we're in it for the long haul, so we're looking at the profits, the idea to be able to build more lines, and keeping the people that we have employed working. Did you want me to answer the part on the marketing also?
Sure.
As for the marketing, I think the biggest challenge for us is to get the product out there, is to get it out, and not just in Indian country, but in other places. We have a strong showing when we take our product to our fairs. If I sell $1,000 worth of product a day, it's an okay, day. But from that, I will get close to $5,000 online sales or other wholesale bottle sales for stores, boutiques, and a lot of it is just getting out there and talking to people. But I think our biggest thing is that we're kind of limited in funding as to how far we can take our product, per se, on the road. But with our website, I think, when we hit these fairs, we hit people from all over the world, and we're getting orders from all over the world. So, take a little bit at a time, but, eventually we will get there. And it's easy to sell a product that you truly believe in.
All right, thanks, Marie. And what about you, Cliff? How are the micro businesses hitting break even? I know they have business plans, and what kind of
Well,
challenges you had there?
actually, I think for the most part, all of our 7 incubated businesses are at that break-even point, in the sense that they are now replacing their inventory on their own, and that's a real litmus for any small business. Their profitability ebbs and flows depending on sales again, but that's really, when you look at that, they've got a business that's already up and running. They know what they want to produce. We've worked them through that so that they can pay themselves, pay their employees, and still be able to break even. And we don't expect them to go out and make huge profits in the first or second year, and that's the reason why we want to track them for 3 years and help them along. So they're not out to go and open up their own storefront, although one of our incubator businesses did open up their own storefront, and they've been doing fantastic. Absolutely. And so, again, a strong business plan is the key to that, and you really have to look closely at that to help them, to be able to help them the best.
All right, thanks, Cliff. And we have one more question about Guma. Will you be teaching your participants to use social media, and maybe how are some of them using social media?
Actually, a lot of them are already. And that's part of the, marketing is how to get your product out there. Social media, using the internet for sales, all of that. Goomba is actually going to be launching an internet sales page in our website. We hope to get that up and running by December, and so we can feature the artists and their products and help them along with their sales there. But most of our participants pretty much already have their internets set up and are doing sales on social media.
Thanks, Cliff. And I mean, I guess that's part of doing business on an island, right?
Yes, it is.
So we have a question for Marie. Has Passamaquoddy maple ventured into any tribe-to-tribe distribution?
That is something that my chief is working on right now. We plan on being at Youth Set this year to showcase what we have for products, so that maybe we can look at being carried into some of the larger tribe stores or the casinos, gift shops. But it is definitely something we are working on.
All right, thanks, Marie. And we will have their contact info on screen at the end of this presentation if any of you are interested in becoming distributors. So the next question comes from Kapua, and Kapua asks, how do they choose which vendors to feature when multiple vendors produce the same products? Supporting vendors are great, but are they all selling different products? And I'm assuming this is for Guma. So could you please take that, Cliff?
Sure, happy to. Basically, that's part of the process. We're looking for unique products. We're looking for innovation. As I said, everybody can make a coconut hut out of coconut leaves, right? But who's taking it further? Who's being a little more innovative with that? And then it comes down to product packaging and marketing. And so you may have a better product, but if nobody knows it, or we're not marketing it correctly, or packaging it correctly, they're not going to buy it because it doesn't appeal. And so that's really important. So also, while we go through and we bring in vendors or participants into our incubator program, we try to make sure that we are not creating competition. And so there's lots of different traditional cultural products and lots of variations on types of pottery that they're going to make, or types of weaving they're going to do. So plenty of opportunity and variety in that. And I think that's important. When you're guiding all these folks, you don't want to create competition for them along the way within the family. So we're very careful about that when we review products.
Thank you, Cliff. And then our last question comes from Shafton. This is for Guma, but I think Marie might also be able to add some insight on this perspective. So Shafton asks, a lot of your products seem to come from natural resources of Guam, like wood products, shells, etc. How are you ensuring that depletion of resources does not happen if their product becomes very successful? What kind of red tape situations have you encountered with products that are harvested from your forest or sea? And we'll start with Cliff, and then maybe Marie can chime in as well.
Okay, real quickly, yes, we do have a lot of natural products that we utilize here, but a lot of it too is because Guam is so small, we don't have the resources we don't have huge forests that we can go out and get wood from, and some of the best wood on Guam are basically endangered species. So we do reach out and we do look to other areas to find resources and products. We ship them in because it's about the art and the craft. And so we look for, where we can, sustainable products. But I think the idea here is that it doesn't matter where the materials come from. In the end, it's what the artist's perspective on what he's producing or she's producing that's what sells, and that's what makes it. So some of our producers are going towards all natural, utilizing locally sourced medicinal plants to create things like makeup or teas and things like that, and that's great. And those are sustainable. So certainly that's something that's a great marketing tool as well, particularly for worldwide markets, sustainability is the thing, and we should all be very conscious of it.
Thanks, Cliff. And for Marie, how have you been addressing the sustainability of your natural resources in your production of maple?
For us, that's an easy one. We are organically certified, so we follow strict tapping regulations that ensure the health of our trees. Sap is a renewable resource. It'll be there every year as long as we take care of the trees. So, that one isn't really too much of an issue for us right now.
All right, thank you so much. And thank you both for your answers. I think, you really provided some insight into your projects that we couldn't get from simply reading about them. And, there's a lot of tips that you shared that I know have inspired people in this room, and a lot of strategies that we can apply to our own communities. So unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for questions. Before I wrap up today, I just would like to point you to some additional resources that you as participants might be interested in checking out. Most of these resources can be found on ANA's website, particularly in their resource library. So in addition to the Seeds grant that helped to support and capitalize both of these ventures, ANA offers some other funding opportunities that you might want to check out in their upcoming application season, which will probably start in December or January. So Seeds is an initiative under ANA's SEDS funding program. SEDS is Social and Economic Development Strategies. Also included under SEDS is ANA's NABI funding opportunity, which is Native Asset Building for Independence and initiative, excuse me. And you can learn more about that on the SEDS page of ANA's programs section of their website. In the resource library, they also offer a collection of economic development resources. And you can find that by searching for economic development resources in the resource library. Under that, you'll find some Indian business guides, a 3-disc set of resources that can help you to start a small business, as well as some resources from the Harvard Project on American Indian Economic Development, and a whole bunch of other stuff. If you just look through the resource library, you'll find a lot of useful business startup resources, particularly geared towards Native communities. And in addition to this webinar that you just sat through, we also host webinars twice a month, and each of those webinars are recorded and posted online for you to watch at your convenience. And you can find all of those in the resource library as well. You can also find them on the websites of your regional TTA centers. And a couple of past webinars that you might be interested in. One by the Western region called Getting Back to Agribusiness highlighted a lot of strategies for agriculture in business, and you can find that in the Western region website. Alaska region also did one called Using Nonprofits to Diversify Revenue Streams, with strategies specifically focused on nonprofits. And we've also had webinars on ecotourism and create revenues for schools and all kinds of other stuff. So if you're interested in watching other webinars just like this, please check out the resource library or the webinars and training pages of your region's TTA centers. So with that, I'd like to wrap up today's webinar. Once again, my name is Matthew Ng. I am the Outreach and Technology Specialist at the Pacific Region TTA Center, operated by Ka'anani'au LLC. Our phone number and website is listed there on screen, as well as my email address. If you have any additional questions, I'd be happy to pass them on to the presenters or answer them myself. I've also posted the websites of both of the presenters' projects here on screen. GumaGuam.com is the website for Guma, and Passamaquoddy.maple.com is the website for the Passamaquoddy Tribe's Maple Project. And you can buy products on both of those websites, as well as find contact information for either asking questions or partnering with these great organizations. Today's webinar, Indigenous Production and Marketing of Native Goods, has been a production of the Administration for Native Americans. Thank you very much for attending. Aloha.